Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today's May 13th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. You can see British Columbia, Washington, Oregon. We've had somewhat of a marine push here this morning. We're going to cool down noticeably from yesterday, and we'll take a look at what's coming this week here as well. We're going to have this ridge try to rebuild off our coastline here. We'll take a look at the models to see just how close that ridge is going to get and just how much we're going to warm up as we go through this week and how long that will last, because it looks like some of the models are showing a trough off in the extended as well. Now, taking a look at the visible satellite, you can kind of see the lower clouds here, especially across western Washington, southwest BC. Look at the Willamette Valley, pretty clear and sunny this morning. Coastal areas getting some nice fog out there so far, but you can see there is some mid and high level clouds out there as well. Some sunshine out here across eastern Washington and Oregon. There's also a thunderstorm chance across some of eastern BC, extreme eastern Washington, some of Idaho and Montana today as well. If you look closely, you can kind of see some mountain wave activity off the lee of the Rocky Mountains here across Alberta and extreme northern Montana. If we take a look at the gusty winds today, look at this. Ellensburg gusting at 50 miles per hour. This was issued this morning about 5 a.m. Ritzville 30 miles per hour. Some choppy lake waters there from Moses Lake also. And the typical strong westerlies ripping through the Cascades here. Wenatchee 40 miles per hour as well. And just a reminder, if you're out there swimming or thinking about going into some of that cold water, it is running swift in that cold water. It can really overwhelm you quite quickly here. So just remember that if you try to plan on swimming here for the next few weeks anyway. And this is Pendleton National Weather Service, which does handle some areas of eastern Washington. There is a wind advisory out there right now, gusting to 50 miles per hour. As I mentioned, it does include places like Ellensburg here. You can see Cle Elum kind of out of that advisory area as well, but you can see it almost goes out towards Vantage here in the Columbia River as you move down off to the south here. So yeah, interesting stuff. This is typical stuff here as you get some of this onshore flow and you get a big pressure change and you get the westerlies starting back up. So here's day one thunderstorm outlook. You can see it does clip northeast Washington here. It does include Idaho and Montana. This would include portions of the eastern British Columbia and some of the Rocky Mountains also. Yeah, and this is day two. You can see that threat moving off across portions of Montana and extreme eastern Idaho. And if you want a nice affordable home weather station, I'll leave that link down below. Also, again, highly recommended. You can save 10% off by clicking on that link. It's got a lightning detection system with it. Ultrasonic anemometer, and the thermometer is pretty accurate as well. Stores the data for you in the cloud. Now, taking a look as far as the European is concerned, this is last night's run versus yesterday afternoon's run. And let's put this into motion. You can see we're going through the marine push now, and we're going to try to build this ridge back across the region here as we go on in towards, this is about Wednesday morning, but you can see that trough looming here across southeast Alaska, starts to push through British Columbia. That one passes, and we get the redevelopment here of that trough, and this one's going to be a bit stronger. You can see it really kind of flattens this ridge out and kicks that ridge back across the Gulf of Alaska, and this trough would no doubt be bringing some cooler temperatures here as we go through the end of the week and possibly towards the weekend here, and then we'll have to see what happens after that. We'll be watching that, breaking it down day by day, but you can see the model to model change here, a little bit weaker with the ridging up across some of the Gulf of Alaska and some of the Pacific Ocean as we go and look out towards Saturday morning. So if we look at the GFS last night versus yesterday morning's run, let's put this into motion here, and there goes the ridge trying to rebuild into the area here. We may get some nice days out of this. Temperatures up into the 70s for places like Seattle, and maybe some mid and upper 70s for places down to the Willamette Valley, maybe even touching 80 degrees for a couple days. But then you can see the ridge flattens out as we go through the day Thursday, and then look at this trough swinging through here as we go through the day Friday. That would be a very strong onshore gradient here. It would bring a cold front as well. It would really cool down the region. You can see that one hang out, and then as we go off into the extended forecast a little bit more, look what the GFS wants to bring down across the Gulf of Alaska, southeast Alaska, right off the coastline here. That would be a pretty chilly upper level low. That would bring thunderstorm activity and all kinds of crazy stuff here for the Pacific Northwest. So we'll be watching that one. I mean, if I back all the way up here, you can see the development of this trough is still, 150 plus hours out. So, definitely something that will be changing here over the next few days, but we'll be watching it closely. Take a look at Seattle. You can see it's some nice days coming up here potentially starting, even tomorrow. There's even some sunshine a little bit trying to peek out through some of the low and mid-level clouds this morning already, but not bad days coming up here. But then you can see the cool down coming as we likely head towards the end of the week and the weekend here, and maybe some fantasy heat way off in the extent of the GFS forecast. Nothing really even worth barely mentioning at this point. But this is like the North American model. This is yesterday afternoon's run. This is 24-hour 2-meter temperature change. Look at that for Seattle. When you get towards 5 p.m., we're looking at 22 degrees cooler than we were yesterday. So a pretty noticeable drop in temperatures as we get towards the afternoon hours. You're definitely going to notice we're not going to be as warm today as we were yesterday. Looking at composite reflectivity, let's put this into motion, and you can see just maybe a few showers out there, not showing much as we go through tonight and on in through tomorrow morning. Then you can see that precipitation generally comes to an end for the next few days. If we take a look at 80-meter wind speed, just highlighting the fact that we do have some strong westerlies down the Strait of Juan de Fuca and some strong north winds down the Oregon coast. Pretty typical stuff here, and the gusty westerly winds coming down the east slopes of the Cascades. That's going to kind of continue on as we go on in through Tuesday afternoon as well. You'll see them pick back up again through Tuesday night, and as we go through Wednesday the day also, we're going to continue that. We're not going to have any offshore flow probably with this next ridge. A little bit too far off the coastline here, so it's not going to allow us to warm up too extensively here, let's call it, as we go on in through the next few days, but it still should bring some nice days coming up here with that ridge proximity to the Pacific Northwest. And if we look a little bit higher at 2,500 feet, you'll clearly see as we go, you can see the ridge here building as we go through tomorrow, Tuesday, and you can kind of see that hanging right off the coastline there. So that flow is still going to be onshore, but we are going to warm up, and again, a few decent days coming up here. Now, taking a look at 500 millibars, this will give us a nice shot of that ridge right off the coastline here. And you can see it is a little bit of a dirty ridge. There's going to be some high clouds moving over at times, and many more clouds here across portions of western BC, Haida Gwaii, southeast Alaska, as the ridge proximity is right off the California-Oregon border here as we go through the day Thursday. And then we're going to start to bring this trough. It's going to cool us down with probably a nice onshore flow here, maybe a cold front as we go through the day Friday. Now, taking a look at Portland yesterday. So 81 degrees, 9 degrees off the record high, but 12 degrees above average here. So again, another very warm day here across the Pacific Northwest. You can see Portland's nice stretch here of 83, 91, 90, and 81 here. And we came very close to setting 2 record highs, and we did tie or break that record high on May 10th of 91. And Seattle, 75 degrees yesterday. Nice warm temperatures out there. Didn't get towards that record high, but it's still 9 degrees above average for this time of year. Now, taking a look at the National Plan of Models, this is for today, Monday. So I'll put this into motion, and you can see the warm-up coming for Tuesday. There's Wednesday, Thursday. So, we got some temperatures in the 70s here coming up, and it's some upper 70s, maybe touching 80 across some portions of the Willamette Valley, especially southern. And some pretty warm days east also, but look by the time we go towards Friday, you'll see that cool down coming here, and then we'll have to see what comes after that. Not too worried about that just yet. We'll be looking at that day by day again. And the GFS did uptrend some of the precipitation here. This is the 16-day precipitation anomaly. So for western BC, actually some places starting to show up above average here. Still some below average for Washington and Oregon. But again, this is a good sign for the Rockies out there. There's already some fires burning across Alberta and eastern British Columbia. It's producing quite a bit of smoke. Some of those fires actually, from what I've been hearing, have remained over winter. So they did not get completely put out. And that's why they're flaring back up so early in the season already. So interesting stuff. Hopefully this precipitation can help. And this is looking at the European, not so bullish on the precipitation across from southwest BC. And you can see below average signal here for the next 15 days or so. Drought monitor here, nothing new just yet. We'll revisit that once it updates. But if we take a look at the simulated infrared satellite imagery, you can see we're going to be dealing with some of these clouds off and on today. And then as we go on in through this upcoming week, you can kind of see the ridging off the coastline here. And again, more clouds up into British Columbia here. But at times, we'll be clipping portions of Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana before we get this trough dropping down as we go through Friday. You can kind of see it ripping through here. That's really going to cool us down probably towards the end of the week. More on that here in the upcoming days, but we're not even going to look at the NAM3 cam right now. I just showed you on the European what the cloud cover was likely to do. So anyway, yeah, I hope you guys are liking these videos. We're going to continue to watch that. Some interesting troughing showing up in the extended forecast here. As you saw, we're going to break that down day by day and see if we have the chance to get a storm in here as we go through later in May, which in turn could eventually bring some severe weather conditions back towards the plains here. Deep troughs over the west coast this time of year can really spark some dynamic thunderstorm activity, prime tornado chasing out there, which I will have to go out and do a storm chasing trip if that occurs. So anyway, hope you guys are enjoying the videos here, and we'll do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.